It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Did you just rubber stamp me?
The Nimble with Numbers team presents Chalked Blocked with Bo Big Time McBrayer.
Bam! I gotta know what a $5 shake tastes like.
That's hot. That's hot.
I want winners, Bo. You don't know.
And his partner, Scott Stack Simpson.
Do you know who I am?
Trying to put Tiger Bomb on this jungle's nuts.
That's cute. I remember when I had my first beer.
I gotta catch a glimpse of these warlocks. Let's make a move. Let's make a move. Let's make a move.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to Chalk Blocked, the world's sexiest DFS show for now. Get yourself to the Nimble with Numbers, Nimble W Numbers YouTube, and smash that subscribe button. We got lots of hot DFS content coming down the pike this 2021 season. We are brought to you live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, now part of iRadio USA. Make sure you download the WWSRN app on your app store for Apple, Google Play for Google, whatever app stores are out there. I'm sure WWSRN's on there. You can get this whole crew, Scotty Moore on his other show, or 2 or 3 shows. I don't even know how many shows the guy has on WWSRN, but he's there. You can get the whole gang on demand. I'm here, as always, with my cast of misfit DFS moguls. Scott Stack Simpson, don't call him Sleepy Weepy. And of course, Jordan, the mathematician Vanek. He's a Florida man headline waiting to happen. And of course, we've probably had more handsome guests on Chalk Block before, but I really can't remember when. We definitely, without a doubt, have not had a more prominent figure on our show to date. This guy is a football writer and analyst for Yahoo! And he's a dual threat foodie and a fitness fanatic. He's also the creator, the genesis of one of the most important pieces of analysis and information in the entire fantasy football universe. And then now it's on a subscription website that's fantastic. I love it. I spend my money on it. I would recommend anybody subscribe to receptionperception.com. We are thrilled and honored to welcome Mr. Matt Harmon. What's good, Matt?
You know, it's like 8 p.m. here on the West Coast, much later for the folks on the East Coast. I feel like I'm almost like was ready to talk in my like NPR voice, like, thank you so much for having me. I got this new mic too, very movable. Like we got to get, kind of close to it. So yeah, thank you so much for having me here. But also shout out to you guys. Sorry, Jordan, I'm going to leave you out on this one, but like not good guest etiquette, but
we do that
Scott
all the time.
I mean, Scott up here and Bo, like 2 guys that know how to bribe for sure. I think I started following Scott because of his good breakfast pictures. Bo literally sent me seasoning, hot sauce, and I'm like, yeah, that's a smash follow, going on your show, whatever. So like that's the key to like, I mean, I should say Jordan is like for sure sicko subscriber to my website, so that's kind of cool too. But but when people send you good pictures of food, and even better, send you actual good food, you're gonna get prominent. I don't know about prominent, but you're gonna get people on your show with that stuff.
I mean, it's not the highest bar to cross to be the most prominent on Chalk Block so far, but you are it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
I'm super excited, and I remember when you did follow me for that breakfast pick. Bo always, we're going back and forth. Bo is a foodie, and I know that that kind of just rubs off on everybody he talks to. And so he just pulls people into his food orbit. I see you posting pictures. You talked about using his seasoning tonight with your shrimp. I mean, it just kind of becomes part of your life, which is really cool that fantasy football has turned into food football, turned into just kind of Twitter football. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's great now that we have a safe space for like Bo to be out there with his seasonings, because like I remember posting food pics, back fantasy Twitter circa 2016, and everybody's like, no one cares. Like, keep it moving. Absolutely no one cares. So I'm glad we're a little more open-minded with this stuff now.
It also helps to have an iPhone 12 Pro Max to take amazing pictures and filter them to make. I mean, the food pics that I take are a lot better than the food that it tastes, I think, because a lot of the times the good stuff that tastes really good isn't that photogenic. And so if I take something that looks gorgeous and appealing for the gram or even for Twitter, I'm thinking it's like the safe space comes from it just being so not safe for work that you need a safe word to enter that safe space. Like that, some of the runny yolk
pictures do matter.
Yes,
pictures matter so much. Like, there are some, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are definitely some like fantasy writers that I follow, on Instagram that post their food pics, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, but you know what? It's literally not just an art, it's a science, because my fiance, who just delivered the tea in here, she used to work for, BuzzFeed, and did like the tasty videos and stuff, those top down, like those videos. Yeah. Everybody loves them. It's like, she's a legend. What can I say? But like when we first started dating, she's like, your food pics look like shit. I don't know if I can curse on the show, but I just did. They look terrible.
Number one.
They look terrible. Yeah, strike one. My bad. Like, they look terrible. They look terrible. So like, let me teach you how to actually take pictures of food to make them look good. And it's a whole process. I mean, like, you really think about it. You can't just be there like, let me take this weird side angle with no lighting. So yeah, I've definitely been taken to school on the how to photograph food.
No, well, no, it's not. And I love, making my food, taking pictures of it, and then eating it slowly, savoring it, like Bo is doing now, boasting about it. Matt, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm actually going to come out and visit Bo in August, because I need just to hang out with Bo, get to know him. I've never met him in person because I live in the East Coast and he's on the West. And he's going to just lay out the food cabinet bare for me. He's going to make pizza, tacos. I cannot wait to gain like 6-7 pounds in that 4-day weekend. It's going to be the best.
The first day, baby.
Oh man, it's just going to be. I'm going to fast. I think I'm going to have to lose weight for like a month just to get out there, so I can
barely fit in my damn screen, dude. How do you think I live with myself? I'm not that close to the camera, guys. I'm really not.
Bo has his own orbit, so no, yeah. I'm excited, and I'm glad that you share in that same love of food as well, Matt. So let's tuck in a little bit here. You are known for, Bo kind of talked about it, your connection to wide receivers, and you started something that is incredible. I love it. It is very down to the analytics of movement and where things are going and ratios and data. It all combined into your reception perception. And so I've heard the story a little bit, but I'd love to hear a little bit about kind of how you got working with that. And how that kind of has put you in a lane, or not in a lane, but in kind of a groove where you are this expert on it. And kind of, does that affect other positions, or are you kind of just sticking with wide receiver and then you just farm out like, okay, I'll go to tight end. I'll go to Denny and laugh at that, whatever weird tight end he has this week,
Well, I'm not going to Denny. Let's be clear. No, I'm just kidding. No, but listen, you can perfectly say it's definitely a lane. Maybe by, August or so, I'm like, I can't really talk about these receivers anymore. But then I always keep on going. So the reality is, like, yeah, most of the time I'm probably going on a show, and 95% of this offseason I'll be talking receivers, and that's fine because I love the position. There's a reason that I decided to study it so closely. But so the answer to your question, though, like how this got going, how reception perception got started, it's kind of a two-pronged answer. Number one, it was basically that same sort of calculation. And I feel great that I can say this. And again, I hate to rag on Jordan again, but back when I was Jordan's age, and I was trying to actually a little bit, actually like a little bit younger. So yeah, I was like 22 years old, trying to make it, trying to kind of come up in the fantasy business, decided to eschew all other life plans to become a football writer. Basically, I kind of had to say to myself, look, I am a nobody, literally. Like, I have no connections to media. I have no connections to teams or anything like that. Why would somebody listen to my opinion? And you mentioned Denny. I always reference JJ Zachariason said this on the Backyard Banter podcast, an old show that I used to do. It's great that you can come up with your rankings. You can come up with your sleepers or whatever, but when you're not like an established name or whatever, no one cares. Like, yeah, for whatever reason, people care about my rankings now. I wouldn't care about them, by the way. But, people want to know that now at this point. But, back when I had like 200 Twitter followers, like, and just started a website, nobody cares about that stuff. So you needed something to stand out was kind of my thought to myself. And I decided to basically just try to answer the biggest question I had about football, which to me was, what the hell are wide receivers doing when they run off the screen, on Sundays? Because we all know this. You guys know this. All your listeners and viewers know it. Wide receiver is so inherently dependent on other positions to just accrue production. Like, I have become incredibly radical in my views about like any, stat at this point for wide receiver is just like, what's the point? Like, I was railing against yards per target the other day, catch rate, all this stuff. You're taking in the variable of the quarterback at the bare minimum. And we know that the quarterback needs an offensive line, a good coaching staff, yada, yada. So there's just so many things that go into wide receiver production beyond the one thing that the wide receiver can control, which is how often do they go out there, run good routes, get separation, get open to present a reasonable target for that quarterback. So I wanted to basically try to go in and quantify that qualitative reality of route running and separation. And that was really where reception perception was born.
Well, I love that explanation too. And what you really get into in this is how successful, and Bo was alluding to this a little bit, talking about it in our chats and stuff and in our show notes, just that it is not necessarily where a wide receiver struggles at, but it's just where they're most effective on the field based on the targets that they're given and given the route tree that they're running, which is not in their control. And that's something that I think is as a part of this. When you look at a player, are there times when you can kind of see the difference between what we see on film or on paper and then what you see in the game and on that perception model that you have?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, again, the one thing that the receiver can control is how often do they get open and run those routes. But, sometimes I think guys are maybe not put in the best position to succeed and that's one thing too. I've been doing this for 7-8 years now at this point. I have a ton of, as Jordan knows, as a Sicko subscriber, there's a lot of data there. And it's over 300 players in the database right now. And one thing I've really learned over the last 7-8 years doing this is that like deployment, where guys line up really matters. Like, there are some players like, for example, like a Cooper Kupp who is not good against press or man coverage at all, but it doesn't really matter because Sean McVay has put him in a hyper specialized role, at least in the 2018-2019 season when those Rams offenses were cooking. He put him in a hyper specialized role, even back to 2017 when he was drafted. Put him in this hyper specialized role, does things that like most wide receivers don't do. It's like, what's really the point to compare a player like DeAndre Hopkins to a player like Cooper Kupp because their deployment is so different. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing I guess that I've learned and sort of trying to parse out between statistical, production and everything like that. It's like, yeah, Cooper Kupp might have 10 catches for 99 yards and a touchdown, and DeAndre Hopkins might have 10 catches for 99 yards and a touchdown. But how they got about that production, how they got there, very different journey.
Yeah, no, and coming, I love that. I tweeted out a picture, and I'll try to find it later and maybe send it to you, but it was a route tree of a couple games of our guy, DeAndre Hopkins, and then it was a route tree of A.J. Brown. They both had similar amount of targets. But you can see A.J. Brown's deployment was out of all places on the field. He ran out of all the different positions. He ran across the formation. He had a variety of routes. Their numbers were similar with how many touchdowns they had, how many yards they had. I think A.J. Brown had a little bit more. But you could see with DeAndre Hopkins, all of his were on the left side of the field, and that he never crossed midfield, and all his routes were very static. They were either up and like a skinny post and a comeback. And so my question is, when you're looking at this from a fantasy perspective, what do you want? Do you want somebody who's going to do one thing like just great, or are you? And I'm talking like the ceiling here, because I'm drafting in these rounds of these guys. I'm looking for the edge, and that's what we all want. Shout out Denny and NBC The Edge. So we want that. And so how do we kind of look at that situation?
Yeah, it's a great question, and first of all, shout out to our guy Cliff Kingsbury. My God, what a nightmare with the DeAndre Hopkins deployment. That one still gets me from this last year. No, to answer your question though, I think that what I really want is a guy that's put in that right position to succeed. And I'll bring up a player like Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is a guy who almost just like plays a completely different position than wide receiver, but he's been put in a good position because of the coach that he plays with. I think that's a crucial part. Debro is bringing it up in the chat about like guys that are moved around a lot is crucial because there's a lot of players that produce from the slot, but might not be able to produce outside. And perhaps even better are these guys like an AJ Brown who does move inside, but AJ Brown is a true, X receiver that can be moved inside to produce like a huge advantage. Basically becomes like this matchup nightmare in that position. So yeah, I think that seeing a guy that can move around a lot does make a difference to me, but really it's just, I do think targets are earned. I think targets are a measure of player quality. There's a reason that guys get fed a ton. It's not just this arbitrary equation. Like the quarterback throws a guy the ball a lot because he probably thinks that player's good. And year over year, that tends to be stable. So that's just one thing. And I think that when you see a guy who gets open consistently, like reception perception has shown over the years, if you're, above the 90th percentile in success rate versus man coverage, you've got a really, really strong, to have some really strong chance to have a career success at some point. 80th percentile, still pretty good chance, even down to 70th percentile. So these guys that get open consistently, the volume will follow that talent. So there's been players in the past like a Stephon Diggs. I mean, Stephon Diggs has been winning at an elite level on his routes, getting that separation for basically the better part of the last 4 to 5 years. Then he finds a situation where that volume is going to come. And obviously Josh Allen takes that next step as a quarterback. And I think he takes that big step partly because he's got a guy who's open all the time in Stephon Diggs. And I think that my philosophy for drafting players is always, listen, if a guy's good, the volume is going to find him eventually. And especially when you can kind of pinpoint a situation like Terry McLaurin's a good example from last year. We knew that volume was going to come his way. We also knew based on reception perception that he was winning at a huge rate, like as an NFL star already as a rookie. So yeah, I was going to be very bullish on that guy and rank him as a fringe wide receiver 1 last year because that intersection was about to happen, similar to like Allen Robinson going into the 2014 season. The talent was obviously there per reception perception as a separator, and we knew the opportunity was coming as well.
Yeah, no,
and be careful mentioning Maryland Terrapins around here because Scott is one. So if you say Stephon Diggs or Juan Dixon, he kind of adjusts himself, so just don't mind him.
Darius Hayward Bay, can we go back that far?
Yeah. Alex Len. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of them. No, Jordan. Oh my goodness. Yeah, go ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. But so I mean, you mentioned about coordinators using them in the right spot, and for me, I looked at certain guys because I wanted to know, like the Patriots, for example. They don't use guys and what they can't do. They focus on what they can do. And you look at Julian Edelman's route tree numbers. There's 3 routes that he's running. It's just you can't really stop it, and you're just going to line him a certain way. And people will see on these charts that they'll be red in certain areas. And obviously, just so people know, it doesn't mean that they suck. It's just that, hey, they're not being used this certain way, or they're just not in the good system, or not lining up in the right spot. So my question is, as a sicko, and for everybody out there, when they see these reception perception models like Kadarius Toney, that's all red, but we won't get into that. What necessarily goes into, I guess, the redness of it, or you look at, I guess, what does it really mean?
Yeah, so if basically all the charts are color coded, and pretty simple: red, green, yellow. For the route success rate chart, if a route is red, that means it is below the NFL or college prospect average. On the route percentage chart, it means that he ran that at a below average rate. So that's why I try. Well, now that I'm behind a paywall, I'm probably being a little stingier about what I am and am not tweeting out. I struggle with the balance with that, right? And that's just something I would admit to you guys, which is and to everybody listening and watching is tough. I want to share as much of this information as possible, but like also I want to get paid for this too, you know? So it is a balance, but I think when I tweet these charts out, I try to keep them like together. For example, I posted CD Lamb the other day and I was trying to kind of make the point that I think it could be used in more ways than just one. Used in more than just the way he was used as an interior receiver last year. And I think it's important to look at the route success rate charts and the route percentage chart in conjunction, which is why they're right next to each other on the RP site on the player profile page. Because like, yeah, sure, if he has like 100% success rate on the corner route or something, but he only ran it like, 1% of the time, like, who really cares, And I think there's other times when they run it at a really high rate and they have the really high success rate, those things go together. So a lot of what I'm trying to do with reception perception is try to put these guys into types. Like you mentioned, who are these number one alpha X receivers? Who's a really solid number two flanker? For example, a guy like Marvin Jones obviously has had a ton of success in his career. He's put up a ton of production. He's a very underrated player in general. He's never been more than like a 50, 60th percentile success rate versus man coverage player at the very best. And at first people are like, oh, like 40th, 50th, 60th percentile. That's probably not very good. Well, it's like, well, number one, we're mostly working with guys that there is a bit of a selection bias here, right? Because I'm not sitting there charting, Tajay Sharp or something like that, right? Like I don't have that kind of manpower here. Maybe someday, but add a few more hours of the day. But yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing too, is you're kind of just trying to type guys out. And, a player like Marvin Jones who consistently produces and is at that level in reception perception, that doesn't mean that he's bad or anything like that, but that's sort of the classic number two receiver mold. They're going to fall in that grouping. And I think that's what's so cool about being able to look at the historical data as a Sicko subscriber. You can look at through RP history and see, okay, well, this is where Corey Davis scores. That's pretty similar to, most of these like longtime number two receivers, which is what I think Corey Davis is, for example.
I'm just another follow-up question here is like the New England Patriots are the team that I mentioned where they use guys in the ways that they're great. Do you kind of see, have you tracked it or even looked at it where a player like, Kendrick Bourne, who wins on slants, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, pretty heavily, or a guy like Nelson Aguilar, do you see that their percentage of routes goes to what they do well, considering now that they're in a system where they line up guys specifically for specific roles?
Nelson Aguilar is a really fascinating example, and this is where I think if you're I keep mentioning the tiers, but I'm sorry, but Prime tier subscriber, Sicko tier subscriber for receptionperception.com, you can get access to not just the most recent season, but the profile from a previous charted season. And with Aguilar, I hadn't looked at him since like 2017 because he hasn't done anything since like 2017 prior to last year. So his linked profile back on his current page really shows the difference between his route charts from Philly when they used him as like a pop gun slot receiver versus what they had him do in Vegas last year, which was mostly run a bunch of vertical routes. So I think he's a fascinating player for them because I think sure, he could probably fit into that sort of slant slot receiver mold, but I think it fits best as more of a vertical threat. So I really have no idea like how they're going to use him as a player, but I think his best work came as a vertical player last year with the Raiders. I would expect him to continue to do something like that. And, it's funny. I think when you look at like the route charts and where guys are used best and you mentioned with Julian Edelman, he's running like 3 routes there. That guy had a career just running basically those 3 routes, a ton of his career. And then you look at some of like the younger guys too that have run limited route trees, your DK Metcalfs, your Chase Claypool. Both of those guys are actually really fascinating. Like Claypool, I'm going off the top of my head here, but I'm pretty sure he ran a slant or a 9 on like 53.1% of his routes as a rookie. DK Metcalf ran a slant or a 9 on 53.8% of his routes as a rookie. Like that just limited usage. It's like, at first you think it's a negative, but it's also just good coaching because you're taking these uber athletes and like, hey, let's limit what they're doing and let them absolutely crush it on these couple of routes. And then you also see a guy like Metcalf, to a greater degree than a guy like Claypool, like winning on a variety of other patterns, which is like, okay, I think when they ask him to do more, he can do more. And there's been other examples of that. Tyreek Hill's another one from way back in the day in reception perception where you got to, like, yeah, that's what they're being used on now, but what more could they do with Hill and Metcalf? I think that did eventually come to fruition.
That sure did. And I just love the website. I love I love paying for something that actually helps me. I mean, that's kind of what gets lost in all this is there's so many paywalls that you can choose from. And now that this industry is really developed and blossomed, but it's like, I'm not made of money. I can't really afford the Sicko membership yet. I'm going to get there. But
once you become big as the sauce boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Trade off.
I'm working my way there. I started with the Prime membership because I wanted a little bit more than basic. I'm not a basic bitch kind of guy, so
hey, buddy, if you didn't think my brain was like, yeah, you got to call it basic because like nobody wants to be a basic bitch, right?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful mind trickery, but it works. Like I'm guessing that even having the basic membership makes a world of difference for your casual redraft player because they're going to look at this data through a different lens than they would have ever imagined, and that's why I love it. But my question is because I mean, if you go back to Kadarius Toney, who's I wouldn't say a terrible first round pick, but a surprising one. It's surprising that multiple teams wanted him in the first round with his skill set, very limited, I would say. His reception perception chart is redder than my eyes walking back with my cousins on Thanksgiving after our nature walk. And so it's basically, I mean, we're talking the reddest of the red. And I'm wondering if when you're going through and you're making all these you probably spend months on this, hours upon hours. Do you see those route tree graphics and the success rates in your dreams?
Do I see that in my dreams? No, but I do have like stress dreams about running the website. I will 100% like I don't think about I don't dream about the route graphics, but I do actually like this like the last few months, especially because listen, if I can give anybody advice out there, not that anybody asked for my advice, like know what kind of worker you are. Like know how you work and how you function. And I know for me, I tell every editor that I ever work with, like put me on a deadline. I have to work on a deadline because if you give me, if you give me like, till Friday to do something like that, thing's getting done on Thursday night. That's just how it's going to be. So I wanted with this website to do like the wave releases. So, there's a guy a group of guys that come this day in May, this day in June, this day in July to give myself those deadlines. But let me tell you what, the week before that deadline, a lot of times I'm dreaming in the middle of the night about like, you haven't finished Calvin Ridley yet. You haven't finished Calvin Ridley yet. You got to do that. You got to do that. You got to do that. I'm waking up thinking about Calvin Ridley in my dreams and like how embarrassing that is, especially because like sometimes, I get to meet and talk to these guys, and I have to think about that and just, oh my God, the anxiety over and over again. It's
Jordan has Calvin Ridley dreams too. He played with Riley Ridley, I think.
No, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, and Riley Ridley were my high school wide receiver corps down here in South Florida. So there we go. I know Calvin personally. I promise he's playing Madden while you're sitting there thinking about him. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I can connect with that, Matt, because I have a little bit of anxiety at times, in my life currently, and just in general. And so I do wake up at times. I wake up and my brain goes, "Guess what time it is?" Every time I wake up. And so last night when I woke up here on the East Coast, it was 4 a.m. So 1 a.m. your time in the West Coast. I woke up and I said, I bet you it is. I just said, I bet you it's 4:20 or 4:30, and it was 4. And so I was close. I was pretty close. And so
I was still awake. I was still
sure you were. Somebody DM'd me and they're like, "Why are you on Twitter? It is 4 a.m." And I was like, "Oh, I woke up." So all right, well, I've
had that happen too. So
it happened. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Once I get up, I guess what I started writing. I'm working on. We'll talk about it another time, but I'm working on a piece about when do rookie running backs break out? How do they break out? What's the scope of their breakout? What are the parameters of their breakout, the criterion that we're going to use to kind of make sure that we can figure out what this new class is going to do? So I started working at that at 4 a.m. It's just I love it too. It is just part of your life, and so I hate to do this, but we have to take a commercial break. This has been great. We're going to take a 3-minute commercial break, and then we're going to come back. Matt Harmon's not going anywhere. Jordan is going to be able to stay up. He checked with his mom. His bedtime has been extended. He can get to 12. He got to 12.
Mom,
Mom! Yeah, my wife's asleep. She doesn't know what I'm doing. I'm living the life down here. So yeah, it's good times. But we'll be back after this quick commercial break. This is when I play the intro or the outro, Bo, and it doesn't work. So we're gonna try and we're gonna see. I'm gonna see if I can try it. I'm pretty good with it. And then
Sports Radio Network.
There we go.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call. 516-
Lost him. Oh my God. All right. So it's audio only for a bit. Can you hear me all right, guys?
Yes. Scott, we love you disappearing.
We are live on stage. That is true. I did disappear. It happens sometimes. I pop right back in, though, Bo. I'm glad you're ready to take the helm. We are back. And before we get back in with Matt, I just have to say right now is a great time to go to bigtimeflavorco.com. Bo, I'm going to nail that. Get yourself some hot box. Matt Harmon himself is using the products. He is endorsing it. If he's endorsing it, Bo's endorsing it, I'm endorsing it, Jordan's endorsing it, Jordan's family, his brother, Mike Collins, my co-host, everybody who gets this loves it. I'm so excited to be able to kind of share this with everybody. This is my favorite gift to give on the holidays. I just buy it like a case of it and just give it out to everybody. And then later they go, dude, that hot sauce you gave me was ridiculous. I said, go buy some more. So this is awesome. There's also Smoke Shack barbecue rub. There's That's Cluckin' Hot sauce. There's also Taco Cizin. He's got it all. He also gives stickers out, which, you know, it's just so nice because I got a sticker. It's right here. It's on my water bottle. You know, he's the man. And also, when you're out there on the mean streets, go to Viridian Global and get yourself some gear. The hot box gear is just ridiculous. I love it. It is hot. And I have to ask you a question, Matt, real quick. Are you in the underdog best ball streets? Are you best balling it right now? Are you hot summer of best balling it yet?
God, dude. He's Yahoo Best Ball.
I'm a Yahoo employee, Scott. So
you can't do any best balls anywhere but Yahoo. Are you allowed to do Yahoo? Because some people can't do the place where they work at.
No comment.
No comment. Oh.
I'm not commenting on anything. Just in case all of my of my bosses are watching this right now.
We're not trying to put anybody on the hot seat. That's a different show. So we're gonna pivot away from hot seat questions.
He's pulling a Rosenhaus.
Yeah, and I will just say that I am in Underdog. I love Underdog. Jordan's there, Bo's there. We're playing all the time. We love being able to give each other our money back and forth, which is we're just trading money, which is awesome. Mostly to me. I think it's going to come to me because I picked the best player. So do check us out on Underdog. Codename Nimble gets you in. And when you sign up, you get a free $25 with a deposit. You can use that for Best Ball Mania 2, which is a $1 million tournament, $1 million one for the first place prize. I'm going to win that one too, Bo. And then after I make all this money, I'm going to give you more money. I'm going to pay you more money to work for me. I'm going to put more money in Hotbox. I'm down for it all, my friend.
That sounds like a marriage, Scott.
Well, I love you. I love you. So we were talking about food on the way out. I have to ask you a question, Matt. Do you have any controversial food takes? Any food that you either hate or that you love or that you just want to torch the earth with right now and alienate half the audience who's going to pay for your kit?
Yeah, I don't know. That actually, that part of it makes me a little nervous. No, I think my most controversial food take over the years has been that peanut butter is actually not that good.
Yeah.
I thought I liked you. I never forgive you.
I'm okay with it. It's not the worst food take ever. If you said you didn't like pizza, if someone says you don't like pizza, then I'm just like
I'm not a psycho.
No, you don't like pizza.
He's a sicko, not a psycho.
No, and also people are allergic to peanut butter at times too. So as an educator, I got to say I'm very respectful to the peanut allergy crew, the nut. I'm always thinking of others when it comes to that. And so I just eat pizza every day as an homage. No one's allergic to pizza, So that's not too hot of a take. That's pretty chill. I like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
most people don't like it though. I mean, there's a lot of folks that are very. Listen, I used to say it was straight up bad, but I think that's a little disingenuous at this point because I will eat peanut butter if it comes around. I won't spit it out or something. Some kind of chocolate peanut butter mix. Yeah, no, if it's something that's chocolate and peanut butter, I'm like, yeah, I'll eat this. This is fine, but I really wish the peanut butter would just get the hell out of here and just ISO the chocolate here.
Okay, so if you don't like Reese's,
I'm gonna go to Mini Mart after this.
No, I don't like Reese's. I'm like, no thanks on the Reese's. No, thanks.
I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
You know what?
Jordan's about to ask for a refund.
And peanut butter, and I wanted to go to the store after the show and just load up on Reese's. Now you got me all hot and bothered.
Have you guys had O'Shea's? O'Shea's is like a step up from Reese's. It's like a gourmet chocolate you can get in a box.
Bougie Reese's.
Did you say step up?
It's a step up. It's a little step up from Reese's. I like it. It's not as sweet with the peanut butter. It's not as sugar infused. It's more peanut butter and chocolate like an adult would have. So I'm with it. Reese's is fine if I'm, gonna just, my wife's out of town. Then yeah, I'll have some Reese's if you know what I mean. But I'd rather have some classier candy. That's all. That's all I'm saying. So I'm with Matt. I'm gonna jump on that. I'm not offended, Matt. Don't worry. You still got I'm still a fan. So. And I'm going to get the Sicko membership. Here's what I have to do. My wife has a spreadsheet system where she has to justify the costs of all these things. So I have to roll them out in tiers. So I just can't.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what he went through last year with the whole PayPal thing and our head-to-head Thunderdome? And we had a 10-week stretch where I won every week. And I can just imagine the spreadsheet last year when he was just hemorrhaging funds to me.
Oh my God.
I'm surprised you can't afford the Sicko membership after I gifted you all that. You did buy Yeah, you bought whiskeys and bourbons and scotches and you're drinking it right now.
I understand.
I mean, you could just show her his wide receiver one last year and then you'll be fine.
Exactly right.
You won a few weeks.
Yeah.
Come on.
Listen, I mean, when I won my 5K, I showed my wife on DraftKings. I was like, look, I'm winning, $1,000. And she's like, that's not real. That's on a phone. And I was like, no, this is real. And it is also on a phone. And then when it got to, I don't understand. Then when I got to 5,000, I was like, look, this is 5,000. And she's like, you are bothering me right now. And I was like, are you serious? So then it wasn't real until I took it out of my DraftKings account and put it in our bank account. And then she said, oh, wow, that's really nice. That's real. And I said, yeah, I know it was real. So it's just, my wife's a hard sell on anything. You could be at the football game, be like, we're at the football game. She'd be like, I don't believe you yet. I don't know. They haven't come out.
Location services on your iPhones. I mean, she can see you're at the damn park.
Well, it happened last year. When I tweeted out that tweet about not drinking, and then the beer snake thing went viral, and so she doesn't kind of trust me after that. Obviously, that's what happened. You're not drinking, and then there's a video of you holding the beer snake up, or you tweeted out anyway. So. No, but anyway, I digress. Jordan, why don't you help buoy the show? Let's get back to football. I'm just digressing left and right.
Yeah. No, we've been talking about, coaches and schemes with a few of the players like Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Julian Edelman. And this upcoming season, we've seen a ton of coaching shifts. I think the one that I wanted to go briefly touch on was, the Jets wide receivers. You have graded pretty poorly in the model with Corey Davis and Denzel Mims not being able to win against man-to-man coverage. Do you think either of them have a chance to get better with a new scheme under a Shanahan disciple? And then, that's pretty much it.
So I actually love what the Jets have at wide receiver right now. Sneaky. I think this is actually a really good setup. And like Corey Davis, I mentioned earlier, he sort of falls into that Marvin Jones range where, he's not one of the best separators in the NFL, but he does like the dirty work and he's a great blocker, good, pretty decent contested catch guy. Yeah, but he is not like a true natural separator. That is why like AJ Brown, who is a true stud, like was able to overtake him pretty quickly there. And actually Mims, I would say based on the fact that he, came into the NFL and was injured during training camp, had a pretty long layoff. The fact that he was, just at about like 68% success rate versus man coverage, like that's not a great number, like you mentioned, but it's right around the average. I would say he was an average separator as a rookie. And then when you really take a look at, and again, this is why it's a lot of data, but sometimes you got to try to take it all as a whole. Like you look at his route percentage chart on his profile on the website, you see that like all of his routes that are green or yellow, as in average or above the NFL average in terms of when he ran them, 9, post, corner, dig, out, like the vertical routes. He was running basically some of the hardest routes. And of course, as you'd imagine, the farther you go down the field, the lower the average success rate gets. So he's running the most difficult routes on the tree in the worst, most dysfunctional offense in the NFL last year. Adam Gase, what Sam Darnold was last year. So I actually came away from Mims's reception perception pretty impressed. I think he can get off the line well. I think he fits as that X receiver where he's going to be the guy that's right on the line of scrimmage, mostly in press coverage, right across from the corner. Then Corey Davis is your flanker that you can move around like pre-snap. And man, I love Elijah Moore. I mean, that's a guy that was great in reception perception, 95th percentile among prospects in success rate versus man coverage. And I think he is just like exactly what they were missing. The explosive guy in space playmaker that they can use at slot, flanker, move around pre-snap again. And that I think really completes that wide receiver core in a, what we expect to be a Shanahan style offense. So yeah, I mean, if I'm a Jets fan right now, and thank God I'm not, I'm like excited, about my wide receiver core. We'll see like who Zach Wilson is, but I think I think they want him to develop more of that like quick hitting style that fits really well with Elijah Moore. And then you look at a guy like Denzel Mims. What Zach Wilson was doing in college was basically sitting back in a clean pocket and ripping it to like contested catch big receivers. And I actually think Mims fits really well there. So I'm not super, super bullish on Mims, but I'm excited about him. I think he can be pretty good. I'm very, very bullish on Elijah Moore, though. I think that guy's going to be real good.
I'm a little worried about Zach Wilson thinking he can throw a lot of those 50-50 balls because I'm a West Coast guy. I watch a lot of Pac-12. I watch a lot of Mountain West. All I saw was him throwing to guys where on defense, the ball skills were literally zero. His receivers are big and physical, but the corners he was going up against, even if the receiver wasn't open, he'd throw up a 50-50 ball. And because the talent of the corner or the safety was so non-existent to go after the ball or have spatial awareness to knock the ball away or to turn around even. I mean, we're talking about guys that were thrown open just by the fact that the defense was so atrocious. And I'm worried because in the NFL, we're to 3 or 4 tiers of advancement above that, because we're talking Mountain West to Pac-12 to Big 12 to SEC type corners that are obviously going to have great ball skills because they're going to be turning into those top flight NFL cornerbacks. It's a massive jump in the expectation of space and the expectation of an ability of a defender.
So yeah, I could see him throwing a lot of picks as a rookie, like getting used to that. At the same time, though, I think they view him as a good fit in this offense, and I think that this offense will really take away some of those bad habits and like be able to give him. That's what this offense does, is it gives quarterbacks answers. Pre-snap, post-snap, everything like that. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, like, is a guy who does not get off his first read. You know, like we talk about all these quarterbacks, like prospects, whatever, that we criticize for. We criticize for like, oh, can't get off his first read. Like Jimmy, and never been off his first read. It's not happening. So
his second read's a skeleton with cobwebs.
Yeah. His second read is to I don't know, like do that little tuck thing that he does. So yeah, I think that this offense is a good fit for Zach Wilson in that way, that it will give him answers so that he's not defaulting to some of those habits like you mentioned, because those were very real from his college game.
Yeah.
So I have a question, Matt. Where do you want to see Elijah Moore's target range this year to really maximize? I mean, he'll probably be more efficient because he is in the slot. He might get lined up against linebackers. And so for folks who don't know, or if you're kind of new to the game or you don't watch the game from different perspectives, when you can get someone in the slot, they can release and go anywhere on the field. They're not bound by the boundary. They're kind of, they can anywhere on the field, but they have a range of movement that gives them more fluidity, and it's harder to cover them with a linebacker. So, sometimes you get, someone like Darren Waller in space. You can get them if they're doing, zone coverage. You can get them behind the linebacker, in front of the safety, wherever it is. You can get people. How is Elijah Moore going to be used, or what do you kind of project? Or I'm not trying to, make you put a projection out here, but are we talking 100 targets? Are we talking 120? Are we talking 75? Where do you think it all ends up in the end?
Yeah, I mean, 75 sounds safer than some of the higher numbers that you mentioned there. But it really also depends too. Are they going to trade Jamison Crowder or release Jamison Crowder? I feel like they have to at this point, just because they have such a ready-made presence in Elijah Moore there. Yeah, if you're going to conservatively put it somewhere between like 70, 75, sounds about right. But I mean, Crowder too, like he's a guy that should draw interest. He's a guy that someone should, like the Titans should be trading a 7th round pick and like figuring it out like with Jamison Crowder right now, because they need so much help at wide receiver. Although I think all of us who want AJ Brown to be the wide receiver 1 overall this year, to just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't trade for Julio Jones. Let it be AJ Brown and a bunch of goofballs there.
I have so much Ferguson that I just loaded up on at the end of last year for free. I was like, I just see Corey Davis leaving. I see Jonnu leaving, and I thought they might draft somebody. Not Dre Fitzpatrick. Like Dre Fitzpatrick
didn't think they'd be rolling in there with just Josh Reynolds. It's like Josh Reynolds is is fine, but like nothing in his game says like I need a promotion to be whatever. So I think with Elijah Moore though,
I saw lineup and slot a bunch, and I was like, I'm gonna scoop him up everywhere. I got Ferkster everywhere, so.
Ferkster, that's a good call. I think he is. I mean, those offenses has used a ton of the tight end recently, and that one, obviously different coordinator now, but still probably keep the skeletons, the bones about the same with that offense. So yeah, that's a good call. I think Elijah Moore is in position to win that slot receiver job right away. And I compared him to a player like Tyler Lockett. I think from a utilization standpoint with Lockett, like you're going to get the slot work, but he can probably do a little bit more than just play inside. And even if he is inside, he's going to be running those downfield routes. He's going to be a weapon from the slot, not just like a Jamison Crowder type of pop gun slot receiver.
Yeah, I wonder how many NFL QBs or quarterback or not quarterbacks, coaches will be throwing up their clipboards in the air as he runs by them in the field.
Oh, man.
That's what I want.
Electric.
Yeah, I just want to see a clipboard fly 40 yards in the air as he takes the punt return back to the house or something. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I was say Lane Kiffin was doing that for the touchdowns, watching him run by. I mean,
Lane got some height. He got some air on that one. That was
a pretty good guess on it. He's like, and Lane Kiffin throwing his clipboard 30 feet in the air.
He does that shit all the time. I mean, Lane Kiffin's had a great group of receivers who, if they're this wide receiver one, they've come in the NFL ready to produce, and most of the coordinators that have gotten their hands on them have shown it, like Robert Woods, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley for the 1 year he was there. Like those Bama receivers plus the USC receivers, even Nelson Aguilar finally is getting the work that we thought, or people thought he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. But I mean, that Jets offense is exciting. The only problem is that division is a gauntlet for defenses. Yeah. Bill Belichick, Brian Flores, and Sean McDermott. That's a nightmare for corner or receivers that are young and talented.
Oh, maybe garbage time. I mean, I'm not thinking redraft as much as I'm thinking DFS. And if some of these rookies get targets more so at the end of the season compared to the beginning of the season, but with the Jets, they could be getting crushed at any point. And so the garbage time, I think, is going to be real for the Jets this year from game to game. And I think you said it right, Bo. There is some concerns. And I think they will throw the ball downfield. So you have opportunities for kind of bigger games with them, back and forth where possessions are faster, turnovers or touchdowns, which I love. I love those games. Like the Raiders game last year. If you can get more of those games where the last play of the game is a touchdown to Ruggs, I mean, that would just be all day. I love that. So.
And we don't have Greg Williams around anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, man. That guy.
Zero blitz.
Zero blitz. I love how. He survived Bounty Gate. I don't understand that. Like that guy was headhunting, and he coached more, and he got that tiny thin mustache that made him look like he was like a 70s porn producer. It was terrible. I'm not into it.
Greg Williams is the epitome of the old boys club, and the NFL still is that. Like you hear about that story of that Korean American assistant coach that was up for a promotion, and they basically said he was the wrong kind of minority. It's that if that doesn't scream in the face that there's still a long-standing problem that nobody wants to fix, really, that's it. And Greg Williams is the problem. He's part of that old guard that just won't die. They're the cockroaches of the league, where they're not good. They're still. It's like, you got Jeff Fisher still hanging around, having roles with teams. And it's like the guy has never been successful unless when he had an incredibly loaded roster with the Titans that 1 year. The rest of his career has been average at best.
Yeah.
And
5.31. That's his winning percentage, I believe, or something like that. So
we're talking about a whole mess of guys, old white guys that just run the show still, and they still keep getting jobs because their connections are going back 30, 40 years.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect time for the big time finish. But this is
finish.
Oh, but my cans are up too loud. Now I'm gonna have to get a hearing aid. All right, Bo's gonna lead us as the big time finisher. All right, Bo, rock and roll, brother.
This is the big time finish, brought to you by BigTimeFlavorCode.com, home of the world's most deliciously intense condiment, Hot Box Gourmet Hot Sauce. It's also home to Smoke Shack Barbecue Rub, so good you can eat it with a spoon. It's taco season because it's not just for Tuesdays. Taco is a vibe. And of course, that's clucking hot. It's a Nashville hot seasoning for your fried chicken, for your fried fish, for your fried vegetables, for your fried fingers, if you just want to nub it around for a while. They got medical science for that. Nashville hot seasoning, that's clucking hot. And more to come down the road. I got 3 more that I'm still testing. But if you enter the promo code at BigTimeFlavorCode.com, Chalk21, you're going to get 10% off your order just for watching the show. It's the only time it's going to show up. Chalk21 at checkout, 10% off your total. Go check it out. And so this is a big time finish. We're going to fire some questions at you, Matt. Quick answers because
I'll try.
We're on a time constraint, sir.
I'll try.
Are you okay? Question number 1. This isn't that serious, by the way. Okay. Are you looking for someone to grade out different positions and do a spin-off like Joey on Friends, but more successfully?
Oh, that's a hot take I have. That Friends sucks. Not a good show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Glad we're all in agreement here. We're all smart fellas. I would listen at some point. I would love to see that, and we would love to bring them into receptionperception.com and let's fly. Like let's do this whole thing. Let's get more positions quantified. The whole thing, I know Graham Barfield's done. I'm answering too long. Graham Barfield's done a great series with running backs yards created. Like that's a good one. I know some other people are working at it too. As long as we stay off the receiver train. People always will ask me about tight ends. They're like, why do you do tight ends in reception perception? It's like, well, number one, please respect my time. For God's sakes, there's enough good receivers out there. And number two, like we're going to be messing with new averages for routes, whole different thing. So, but someday, yeah, I would love to see it.
I mean, you'll grade the same 3 tight ends. You'll grade the same 3 tight ends every year, and then every other tight end is just going to be like, oh gosh, please, I don't want to do this. I
do that now. I do that now with receivers, right? Like, my guy Jalen Reagor, like the first couple of games in, I'm like, this is not going to be fun. Like this, and I've got to do 8 games. Everybody's 8 games. Everybody gets 8 games unless they're injured. So like a lot of times it's like, well, this is not going to be fun few hours here.
Too. I loved his tape coming out of college. I just love Jalen Reagor's tape. And then if you're really looking at it,
I mean, when I recruited for UCF football, that's how I felt watching JUCO and some of these high school kids. I'm like, why? Why am I watching this? It's not fun. You can't ever tell the jersey, blurry film. Not good times. Flashbacks.
Yeah.
Are you ready for question number 2, Matt?
I'll try to be snappier with the answer this time.
This is a more concise question. When I write these questions, I'm not looking for. I'm not actually paying that close of attention to how long the answer might run. So we're talking. It's a very loose outfit here.
We need quality control on this show, Bo.
That we'd all be fired. We wouldn't have a show.
Oh yeah.
What percentage likelihood is it that Kyle Pitts has a reception perception map next year and he replaces Julio as the X receiver in Atlanta?
We just talked about this. 0%. 0%. The guys you could storm the gates. You can storm the gates of El Segundo here. If demanding the Kyle Pitts reception perception. It's not going to happen.
But what if he doesn't say? Let's say he doesn't log a single snap inline tight end. He's at slot or X or Y or Z all year long. What are the odds? I mean,
I'll bet you a 100% stake ownership in Hotbox, the sauce company. 100% stake ownership that he does not take 0 snaps at tight end.
At its current value, I'll take that bet. You'll never get my recipes.
I'm paying Matt Harmon now, so now we're taking my money from Bo and giving it to Matt Harmon. This is great.
It's real. It's a full circle here.
It's a family of fantasy friends, and so we do have to thank you. I told my wife after this, Matt's never going to want to see me again because he's seen me twice in a month, and so we do thank you for coming on and jumping in and being part of our friendship group, our family friends here at the show. You are the best guest we've ever had on. And it's not just because you're making it sexier. So I think your earphones are dying, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I think something's happening with your earphones. But I'm just so excited that you got to come on twice. Thank you so much, sir. Where can people find your work? And we talked about in the beginning, but all the stuff that you're doing, where can they find you?
Well, hey, Scott, I'm not sick of you yet, so don't worry. We're all good. Love the memes that Jordan has provided, and legit, Bo. You and I will talk off camera about how we can start pimping your sauce to more people because your stuff is legit good. So we'll have to come up with something there. As for me, where you can find me. At Matt Harmon _BYB on Twitter. As you can see, Chuck is still running the handle for sure right there. Actually, both these dogs have been in here the whole time, and shout out to them. They've made not one peep. That's good stuff. That's good work by them. And for my work, receptionperception.com, of course. Also, the Yahoo Sports Fantasy Football Forecast. I'm still hosting the show. A couple of Thursdays here coming up, so make sure to go subscribe to that as well.
Oh, heck yeah. I definitely will subscribe. And Jordan, anywhere people can find you? Because I know you just put out some great content about your DFS beginnings. Where can they find that at, sir?
Gridironratings.com, and it's on my Twitter, JordanVanek1. I basically just wanted to give a little bit of an article about, a little background on me. And this industry isn't just about following one person. That's why I went and became a sicko for Matt Harmon, because I'm going to use his routes run for my DFS work, because it all correlates, and it's great to find people who are capable of doing something special like that.
No, that's awesome. And follow Jordan. Yeah, he's going to be working for Gridiron Ratings. He's going to be working with us here on Chalk Block all season. We love it. He is the math magician. He is the man. And he is 23. And that's a great thing, because you know what? I would give anything to go back and be 23 again. I'm 42, and I'm building a deck with my dad, and 23-year-old Scott would just be so much stronger and better for his job.
Oh my God. I almost dropped, instead of Sleepy Weepy, I almost dropped the big deck energy one.
I will say, being 23, I am in my Jordan year, so this is supposed to be my best year, I think. That's how it works.
I love that.
It's in your name.
Yeah. My name, Jordan.
Follow the math magician. He's going to win you money this year. That's what he's going to do. And follow me too at NimbleWNumbers. We're working on lots of great stuff over at NimbleWNumbers.com. Bo is over there, and he is one of the best DFS writers. Not just picking games and doing cash, but actually writing and getting people into the content itself. I love it, Bo. I couldn't pick a better partner to join me. So appreciate you, and I can't wait to be around next week. Do we have other guests, Bo? Or is it just Matt forever, or are we?
I mean, I wish we could afford him, but
it's expensive.
Yeah. I got plans to be drunk by a pool next Friday, so
me too. And then I'm gonna do a show.
I'll be on that show.
I believe we have another guest next week. And
is it Lofty? Is Lofty coming on?
It is Dave Lofgren from Osimo. So it's gonna be great.
Awesome. We'll talk DFS. We'll talk Osmo. We'll talk all the things you need to get you ready to win some money this fall. And then we're going to do that. So for everybody over here at Chalk Block, thank you for joining us. For Bo, Jordan, thank you, Matt. You are the man. We love you. Thank you so much for coming on. And this is the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. But I'm going to see if I can nail this. Let's see if I can do it.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.